Great. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Kiesha Lalama. I'm a professor here with Point Park University in the dance department. I am honored to be celebrating my 20th anniversary with the university. I'm also an alum, so it is with great honor and pleasure that I welcome our panel today. This is very exciting. I love every single one of these people and have a very close connection to them in different ways and Rob through different eras, but we won't give away our age right now. But we are here today to welcome these amazing, amazing guests and welcome to the Point Park Pittsburgh Playhouse Speaker Series. So I would love to get started. Rob, we're going to start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to where you're at and all that fun stuff.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Robert Knowles. Point Park alum. Started off with a small Dolly Dinkle dance studio, Betsy Daly School of Performing Arts. And then went to Point Park, and luckily after that, moved on to Hubbard Street and was there for a couple of years. Then decided to change and go out of the country. So I danced with Le Ballet Jazz de Montreal and Le Grand Ballet. And now currently I'm in Las Vegas in the show O. Well, not currently, but kind of currently. We're on a bit of a break, I think, as you guys can notice. So, hi guys.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Marissa. Want to say hello?
Hi, everybody. My name is Marissa Lee. I am a Point Park alum. It's crazy to say. I started dancing when I was 2 years old, and I went to performing arts schools, and that's kind of how I found about Point Park, and I loved it, especially since I'm a jazz baby and there's like tons of jazz opportunities there. But then life switched. I'm now an industry dancer, so I don't do jazz as much, and I've been living in California for 3 years and have already like jump-started my career. Yeah.
Amazing. Yay. Skylar.
Hi everyone, I'm Skylar. I am also a Point Park alumni, we all are. But I started dancing when I started walking, so maybe 1 or 2 even. My mom started training me. She owned the studio I grew up dancing at. And then I found out about Point Park and I went to school there and moved to Vegas right after actually. So I've been here for 2 years now, and I have been doing a lot of work gig-wise and everything, but now I'm currently in the Beatles Love at the Mirage with Cirque.
Yes. All right, Nick.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nick Fearon. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas, and just like everyone else, started at a small dance studio and then went to Point Park. And then right after that, I went to, sorry, that's my dog, went to New York and danced with Parsons Dance, and then went and danced with Ballet Hispanico for a couple of years, and then did a whole 360 flip, and then went on cruise ships for a couple years after that. And now I'm mostly teaching now. I kind of made that transition pre-COVID, and then COVID hit, and I kind of been going with that a little bit further. So yeah.
How exciting. Okay, so the one common theme that I'm hearing with all of you right now is kind of, I did a little bit of that, did a little bit of this, I transitioned into that. So why don't we start there? I think the big misconception is often that someone thinks if I get that job with that company, I'm good and I'm set and I'll just stay there. But what I'm hearing is I've done that. And so now I want to move on to this and explore this and discover this. So, I mean, Nick, let's start with you there, because you went from, a little company called Parsons and kind of switched out, right? And now you're into teaching. So tell me a little bit about those discoveries, like why shift? What is that all about?
Yeah, so I was right out of Point Park. Like I was totally in the mind frame of like, I just want to do concert work for my whole career. And that's like all I had in my mind. I didn't even think that I would want to do commercial dance or anything like that. And so I was enjoying it for a while, and then I just kind of, things changed, and I kind of got curious because I had a bunch of other friends who were doing cruise ships and stuff like that, and they were really enjoying it. And then I just kind of flipped and was doing that for a while. And yeah, I think the mentality that we have growing up is that we have to kind of stick to one track and that's all we can do. But really, in the scheme of things, we are so much more well-rounded than we think, and that we can grow and evolve as we get older. And that's kind of what I'm still figuring out. Because then same thing with teaching. My whole life, I was like, oh, I'm going to teach like way later in life. I'll find that passion later on. And then lo and behold, here I am, 27. And now I've found another passion with that. So it's just every year my mentality changes with where I think my career would be and now where it's at today. And so you just have to kind of be a chameleon in that way. And that all starts with your training and like making sure that you expose yourself to as many different styles and avenues as you can. So that's
right.
kind of,
you never know. You never know where it's going to, if you ever told me that I'd be a college professor as a college student, I would have laughed. I would have never, ever, ever, ever gone down that road. But that was the door that opened for me. And so, here I am. Marissa. Now, Marissa, I feel like you always knew. You would look at me and be like, no, listen, I'm going to LA. This is what I want to do. I feel like you always knew your path and that first direction, the first direction you wanted to take. So how has that kind of come to fruition for you?
When I first started hip hop, it was different for me because I've always been such a technical dancer.
Right.
So when I did hip hop, I absolutely fell in love with it. Just the way I fell in love with ballet the first time. But it was different because I never grew out of love with hip hop. So I've always wanted to move to LA. And every summer I would go to LA and have a trip. I'm like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. Every single year, I'm like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And even when I'm here, like nothing is getting old. I love the weather. I love the scenery. The food's okay. But I've always had a strong mindset of like, this is where I should be.
Great.
And still feel that way. Like, I don't want to move anywhere else.
I mean, I've seen some of the work that you're doing. You look amazing. And I'm just so proud of you. But what I see beyond just the dancing is pure joy. I see that you're home, and I'm proud of you on so many levels. So Rob, let's kind of switch gears and go to you now, because you're more along the lines of Nick. I mean, I watched you at Hubbard Street. I had the great pleasure of seeing you dance at Ballet Jazz de Montreal. I mean, we came up, remember we visited with Sue Stowe.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The only thing I haven't seen yet is Cirque. But how does someone go from these prestigious concert dance companies and then switch gears and go to Cirque and live your best life? I mean, I know you're happy.
Oh yeah. Well, like just to go back, like you said, when I was in college, I had no idea where I was going to end up. I mean, I thought I'm going to go to Point Park and then I'm going to go to New York and try and be on a Broadway show. Absolutely, totally different. Went to Hubbard Street and I was a jazz bunny as well. I mean, if you saw me in ballet class, you would have never thought. But then it switched and, went from ballet to contemporary and now I ended up doing my little musical theater thing with Lion King for a little bit. And with Cirque, I think it's just allowing your body to grow and really listening to yourself and really looking at your surroundings. And a lot of it is also your personality. You meet people, whether especially the technicians, the wardrobe technicians, all those people used to be in the place that we are. A lot of them were headliners in Vegas or prima ballerinas, and you would have no idea. And a lot of people tend to discredit them because just get my clothes. Where's my costume? You'd be surprised how many recommendations you get from those people alone. But that, and also listening to them, listening to their stories, like you guys that are listening right now, listening to our stories, you get different ideas. And like when I was in Montreal, I got to teach for Cirque. And then that introduced me to a whole new world that I never ever thought I was going to be a part of. I would just say, go with your feeling. We're called artists for a reason. And that's not limiting to any secular art. It can definitely spread yourself out. And also, even in the normal world, we're taught to have a personality, or to be a character, or to be a chameleon per se. And honestly, you can do whatever you want. I mean, it's very funny to see some dancers that are actually more successful in the professional world of business compared to being a dancer, just because they know how to read people and just read a room. I mean, it's quite simple, just that. But for me, that was exactly what it was. I just kept my eyes and ears open and really just listened. And fortunately, it's taken me to where I am now.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then Skylar, I'm intrigued, of course. I always thought you would go into concert, and you looked at me one day and it's the same thing. Marissa was like, no, I'm going to LA. And Skylar, I know that Cirque was a big, big dream for you too. So when I saw that you got Beatles, I mean, the Love show, I just cried and cried because I was so happy for you. What is it like to have your dream come true?
Crazy. And it literally started a month and a half before everything shut down too. So it's like I had it for that smidge second, and I got that taste, and then it was just like taken. But I'm so fortunate to have been able to do that, and then like I'm just even more excited to get back into it. But I'm not taking concert out of the idea, like out of the mix. Like I'm still thinking about it, because I know that I'm such a bouncer. Like I love doing everything. So like this whole topic right now is like my shtick. Because I've done literally so many things since I've been in Vegas, and they're all completely different. So, but I did land like what I moved here for. So that is just like a really big accomplishment for me personally, to be able to have gotten to where I wanted to be here, and then we'll see what happens after.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, if you guys had any advice, just circling and kind of staying on this topic for now, the way of the world is also confusing for some young dancers, as dance gets lost in the concept of just what, circling back to you, Rob, artist. What does it mean to be an artist versus a dancer? And is there any advice you can offer young dancers that are listening in early on? Like, what did you wish you would have paid attention to or learned? Because so many times it's technique, pliés, tendus, push-ups, planks, all those things, right? And so beyond the technique and exploring and evolving that idea from dancer into artist, looking back, what are some pieces of advice that you can give our young listeners today?
Ooh, that's a deep one. Yeah. I mean, I would
you're gonna talk.
Yeah, I would say that I would say keep your eyes open. I mean, a lot of becoming from a dancer to an artist is, well, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of good times, a lot of pain, a lot of joy, a lot of learning, everything that is surrounding being a dancer, but outside of being a dancer. I'm a little stubbed right now. My advice would just be, especially right now in this situation where I know it's probably, you're all probably sick of Zoom classes and dancing in a room that's probably the size of a stamp, trying to get technique in. Really just find other things that inspire you, that can actually be connected to you as a dancer. So maybe even just normal things in life. Doing your research, going back, and I mean, I had had a weekend where I went back and watched all the old dance movies like White Nights and and watching old videos of Baryshnikov and then watching new videos of current dancers and really looking at the comparison of how has this career of dance evolved, and really, you know, really get to know the root of what this is that we're doing, because it's so much bigger than, you know, a music video or a nutcracker or a contemporary piece. You know, all of that melts together, and if you can actually take time to do the work mentally, I think that's where it really starts pulling you together to make you an artist. So that way you can be versatile. You can go to LA and do do hip hop, but then also at the same time, you never know, you might get a call where you need to have technique. So you can't just be one-sided. You know, you want to be as well-rounded as possible. And I think right now is a time that you can really take to do that research for yourself.
I love that. I've always said, and you know, Jason McDowell and I both really kind of push this idea that having a strong backbone and a strong foundation of you will get you anywhere. And it's really just having the finger on the pulse of your likes, your interests. What you know, you said, Rob, what do you do outside of dance? What fills your heart further than just, again, pliés and tendus? And so what have you guys been doing beyond dancing in these, you know, rooms? Because I think that the one thing that I've learned and in talking with colleagues and friends and dancers and choreographers, it was really like a pause, a moment to kind of dig and just take care of yourself. And again, get acclimated. And Rob, what you said, watching movies. I mean, that's all I've been doing. I just finished The West Wing, by the way. It's fabulous. So I feel like, what else are you guys doing? Like, Nick, what have you been kind of like working on or looking into beyond dance to make sure that you're anchoring your spirit, you know, or allowing your spirit to blossom and keep going, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that since quarantine hit is that, like, I've been finding time now, because we have all the time in the world, it seems like, to dig into those things that when it's the hustle and like we get too busy and things get too stressful, that we're kind of like, oh, you know, I really enjoy doing that, but I'm going to put it off for just like another day, or I'll do it on the weekend. And then you just never get to it. So a couple of those things is like reading a lot of biographies from people that I really admire, because like either through Audible or whatever, like listening or reading their stories and how they got to where they are, and not so much as comparing my journey to theirs, but like seeing the similarities, the differences, taking the different steps that they did, and like the risks that they did, and like seeing how sometimes people around them didn't necessarily agree with it, and like but it ended up being like the biggest thing that happened to them. So like reading other people's stories is a big thing.
Is there one you would recommend? Is there one specific one that kind of hit home that everyone should read it?
The Twyla Tharp, The Creative Habit.
That's one of my favorites.
Can't recommend one enough. She is brilliant, a creature of habit, and like I admire that so much, especially now like getting into the teaching world and like more choreographing and stuff like that. She's really has some great like advice that is simple and that you think you do in your daily life, but like when you really get into it, you kind of you like skip all those things when you get into the hustle. So hers definitely is like my all-time favorite.
One of my favorite things from that book is the DNA test. And so it's a creative DNA test. So I highly recommend it. I use it in my dance composition class, but what it does is make you sit and kind of dig into you. What is your favorite color? Why? What is your first creative memory? Why? What was your most embarrassing project that never worked out? You know, it's like all of these things. And I think it circles back to that idea of reflection, taking the time to reflect and dig. So, okay, Twyla Tharp's creative habit. Thanks, Nick.
Yep.
Great. And then Skylar, Marissa, like what have you guys been doing outside? I mean, I've been cooking for Jake and Jax, right? That's all I've been doing. They learned how to cook, which is really fun, but that's a passion of mine.
I've become the biggest plant mama.
Ah, yes.
I've literally grown such a love for like houseplants.
That's my only plant that has survived. Look, so I brought it
I
downstairs.
noticed it as soon as you turned the camera on, my eye went right to that.
That's all I got, Skylar, but it's working.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. So you're liking it. It's just, is it about really seeing something grow?
Yeah, it's just being able to take care of something. I mean, obviously I'm taking care of myself as well, but I just love taking care of things. So like with more time on my hands, I've had time to really like take time and make sure that I have my babies and that they're okay. And it's like really cheesy, but
No, it's not. Not at all.
really, yeah, it's been really like fulfilling for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Marissa.
For me, I've also been reading, but instead of like biographies, it's kind of more self-reflection books.
Oh, great.
Control your mind and stuff. And I'm also such like an outdoorsy nature person. I've been taking hikes. I've been going to the beach, all by myself. One day I woke up at 5 a.m. just so I can watch the sunset over like a mountain view. So anything just to get a breath of fresh air, sit with myself.
And Rob, what have you been doing? I can only imagine.
Well, okay, here we go.
There it is. I knew it.
Well, again, owning a house, number one, is nothing but a nightmare sometimes, but it's the greatest thing. Thank God I have it. Lots and lots of home renovations.
Okay, but that's huge. As a dancer, you purchased a home. I mean, congratulations. I mean, a lot of people say that you can't do this in the business, that it's not going to work out for you that way. You'll be in a 1-bedroom apartment, but congratulations. I mean, I'm so happy for you. That's huge.
Which, by the way, can't wait for you to come and stay.
Oh, don't worry.
Also, I just jumped online and I started taking as many free courses that were possible. So now I'm a notary Republic of Nevada, which is kind of fun. And never thought, one of my friends mentioned it and I was like, oh, well, it's a free course. Why not? And it's actually been going quite well. Just like you, Kiesha, I love to cook. So I'm in the midst of creating a cookbook, but then also for a lot of, the artists, as Skylar would know, here in Vegas, it's been a little rough on them. So a lot of time I've been sitting in my kitchen with a nice bottle of wine and jazz music, and I've been creating meals for a lot of the artists that don't have enough money. And
because
lots of people that are stuck at home with COVID and they can't leave. So why not do something that I love to do and share it with other people? And again, we're lucky enough to have such great weather here almost year round. So lots of bike riding and hiking, and I volunteer at a ranch, so I get to go and play with horses and stuff like that. So I've been keeping myself. Yeah, Skylar, when you get back, let me know. I'll bring you with me.
I'll still be with you.
Yeah.
Pictures. Send me pictures.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, I've been.
Did we lose you?
I just got kicked out for some reason. Okay.
Oh,
I'm here. Okay. Well, also, yeah. So I've been doing a lot.
great.
Yeah.
You're such an amazing spirit, and you have one of the biggest hearts, and it's just genuine, and I adore you. You know this. Thank you. Just amazing. So, I mean, I feel like it's important, right? I want to make sure that our young dancers understand that it's as important to enjoy something like cooking or going for a walk and watching the sunrise or hanging out or reading. It's as important to do those things to feed your soul beyond just dancing in the studio, and it's taking care of ourselves. I feel like it's really important. Yeah. Does that make sense? I mean, we all agree to this, right? Okay, great. So there's a handful of questions coming up here. So Skylar, the first one's for you. Dun, dun, dun. So Skylar, what was the audition process for Cirque?
I went to 3 different ones, and they were all pretty much different. But the one that stood out to me the most was the one that was in Las Vegas. So it was the resident audition, and it was a lot larger than the other 2 that I've went to. And it was 2 days long. There was a lot of people. And the first day was just learning one combination. It was from Eleanor Rigby's character. Jordan, she taught the combo. She's Eleanor Rigby. And yeah, so we did that. And then we worked on improv. We did literally one at a time improvisation, and they would give us one word. And we had to improv how we perceived that word, and it was really nerve-wracking, but it was amazing. I love auditions, so I'm just like, I thrive with auditions. Then they made the cut, and then the second day was on the MJ1 stage, and basically it was all day long, and we learned combos from MJ, Beatles, Miss Steer. We learned all different kinds, and they basically kind of typecasted. So like, you would learn it, you would do it, and then if they thought you fit well with that choreography and that style, they would record you and keep you for the computer files. But it was amazing. And then there was like 25 or 30 of us left at the end, and we just had like an improv party, and it was a great time.
Oh, that's definitely something you would remember, especially if it, you just kind of improv and it turns into this magical moment. I love it.
It was like, we're done. We made it through. Yay, let's all just dance.
Oh, how fun. Yeah. All right, Marissa, our next question is for you. How did you pave the way for yourself in LA? So, let's start from the beginning. You moved to LA, and then what?
Yes, it was a little scary at first because I moved to LA all by myself. I don't really know anybody. I didn't really have family out here. So it was kind of just with me taking classes consistently to figure out, like, okay, who are these new people? Who are these new teachers? And staying in their classes so that the teachers can recognize my face more and more. And that kind of helped, like, kick things in. And then one choreographer asked me to be part of a show. Now, I didn't know anybody in there, and it was heels, of course. And then I'm so shy. So it's so hard for me to like get out of my shell and talk to people, which is the biggest thing to do in LA is communication. It's all about who you know. And then I did this show, and one girl from there noticed me and like how I was dancing, and she booked me for my first tour. And then from there, my face like started spreading everywhere, and that kind of helped with people starting to get to know me and like book me more jobs.
I love it. And you're the complete opposite on the dance floor. You're the complete opposite of shy. It's fascinating to me. I would love, this is kind of Rob, another deep question, but I'm going to do it anyway because I have so much respect for you, all of you, as artists, but more importantly as human beings. I feel like I have a close relationship with each and every one of you. So I jumped on this and said, can I please do this one? So my question for you, and what I struggle with as a professor, is trying to get the young dancers to understand the difference between confidence and arrogance. I feel like they're stepping back in the space instead of stepping forward. So you're in the room and it's time to do a combination, and you just get out there and dance your heart out and don't apologize and, kill it, as we say in the industry. But now I feel like people were afraid to come forward. And we had a heart-to-heart recently about just confidence versus arrogance. And the only thing that really separates that is ego, right? You just got to get out there and just do your thing. Would anybody have any advice in regard to what it's like in the industry and how you have to walk out there with confidence, not arrogance? And it's interesting. the dancers have kind of neither. It's just fear. They don't want to show off. They don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But in an audition situation, it's your time to shine. You got to get out there and do your thing and show your confidence. So does anybody have any kind of advice in regard to confidence versus arrogance?
I would say, well, first off, I would always have to say this to myself, because I'm not like, I don't get along well with very arrogant people, like it's very difficult for me. I always say to myself, get out of your head, get in your body. If you can close your eyes and, and feel yourself, and then open your eyes and look at the space, just go out and do it. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a interesting situation now where people would much rather talk about themselves instead of show themselves. And this is kind of like an old school, don't say it, be it. Show what you got. And if you're too scared to show what you got, you need to start somewhere. Start doing it in front of your pets or your plants, or or even just go out somewhere where you don't know anybody and just go for it. It's okay to be embarrassed. It's okay to not feel comfortable. That's what this life is. It's not comfortable. I mean, luckily enough, now we're older, so we're getting into a place of where we can find our little pockets of uncomfortability, of comfortability. Mm-hmm. But even then, you never know. Once a year contract is up, they might not rehire you. So then you have to think of, where am I going to go next? What am I going to do? What am I going to do next? And if you don't give your full potential of yourself, then you're always going to question where you're going to go next. If you just give everything, they already see you, they know you, they're not going to question you. If anything, they might try and push you to be even better. But holding back isn't really, it's not good for yourself or the art or the people that are going to watch you. So I always just say, go balls to the wall constantly. The only thing people can say is no.
Well, I think that's our generation, Rob. You know what I mean? We just move, just get out of our way, because we're going to do our thing and just go after it. And I love what you said, that it is really about show me. Don't talk about it. And it's really, that's a testament to a life lesson, though. I mean, if you want to make change, you have to make active change. You have to activate the action. You actually have to do something about it. And it's no different than dance. And so you can't talk it, you have to do it, and you have to be it. And I love that you said that. I think it's very important. Skylar, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, personally, I feel like I've always been a really confident dancer. So I've always been that one that's like up in the front, and not every single group, but every time I'm in that group, I'm in the front and I'm making sure that I'm showing everything that I can do, and I'm always going 100%. But then it's like, the arrogance comes from who you are when you're on the side, or like when you're outside the studio.
Yes.
Like, you have to just be a kind person outside of that situation. Like, yes, you can push yourself to the front and you can like not show off, but just prove to yourself that like you deserved to be there, but then be a kind person when we're not in that situation. Does that make sense? Like,
absolutely. That's exactly, I mean, I would say that all four of you are exactly that. You walk on the floor and you are in the front, killing it, doing your thing. And then you walk off to the side and you're the most supportive, kind, genuine, generous, giving people that, in my 20 years, you stay with me because of the human that you are, the kind, generous people that you are. And that to me is as important. I love that. We have a hand. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
And with that saying with Skylar, that's another thing, just just because I've been on the other side of casting as well. Because what you do on the floor is great, but also if they have an interest in you, they are going to watch you walk off the floor. They're going to watch you reacting with people. They're going to see how many times you pick up your phone. They're going to notice everything, because if someone wants to hire you, it's just like putting money in a bank. You're an investment. So what are you going to do with this investment? Do they pay attention? Are they helping others? You know, let's say if someone didn't get part of the combination and you're like, okay, well, you know what, come over here, let's do this together. And, you know, because you're going to be part of a team of some sort at some point in time. And they're going to want to see people that are team players and not divas, you know. Of course, LA, that's a little different. You got to show your face. But on the side, you could still also be that wonderful person too at the same time.
Awesome. Anybody else want to add to this conversation before I move on to some more questions that we have? Go ahead, Nick, please.
Yeah, I feel like confidence and arrogance, I feel almost with confidence, it's just knowing your strengths, also knowing your weaknesses and embracing those weaknesses and not seeing them as a hindrance. And I feel like when it starts to like teeter into the ballpark of arrogance, that's where it comes from, kind of like a place of insecurity where you don't truly know yourself in a way that you feel comfortable to show it to the world. So then you try to like mask that with like other things. And then also with showing the confidence, there's a way to do it with respect in an audition. And like, sure, you can like show off and go to the front, but there's like kind of those like unwritten rules of an audition that you like have spatial awareness, you don't get in people's way, you don't like push people aside, you don't try to like make weird eye contact with the people in the front. Like, so it's kind of, which of those like, they're unwritten rules, but everyone kind of knows them. And you just have to be respectful of other people. And that again goes to what we were saying about being respectful on the floor and then being respectful outside of the dance floor too. Yeah.
Marissa, anything to add or just kind of echoing what everybody said?
Nick had a great example. Spatial awareness is actually a huge thing in the dance community, not just for commercial, but on any side. That kind of also comes with, I think, maturity in a sense, because not a lot of people realize that they're messing up other people. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's jump to some of these questions. This is a really interesting. What is the most life-changing class you've taken? I mean, I would say it could be a teacher. It could be that one class that changed your entire path. Like for me, I was in New York City. I hurt my leg, shocking. And I was bouncing back and decided to transfer from one university to actually going to Point Park. And I took class at Broadway Dance Center with David Story. And he did this combination to More Than Words. Remember that song, More Than Words? And I moved in a way that I had never moved before. And I was introduced to a genre called contemporary. And that was it. I was in. I knew that was it. That was the life-changing moment in my life. And that was my path. I mean, I've had many, many, many amazing mentors, role models, teachers that changed my life. But for me, that was the class, the moment where I said, this is it. This is what I'm doing with my life. Anybody have something like that happen, or a class, a teacher? Go ahead, Nick.
I feel like Jason McDowell's class was like insanely monumental for me, and as far as like shaping my career and what I wanted it to be. And it's funny because now I teach a lot, and so I give kind of a combination of like Doug Bentz, your class, Kiesha, and Jason. I kind of like put it all together in one class because and so with Jason's, he, like we were talking about, one of like his most famous quotes is, "You're a human first and a dancer second." And so like I carry those with me ever since I learned it all the way up until then. And so his class, as far as like the not, I don't want to say discipline, but as far as like the structure of it, and like that just spoke to me as far as how it's like so just like we do this and we do it throughout the week, and like it was all those different things of what makes Jason McDowell's class so unique. It's something that just spoke like to my soul and me as an artist. So that was probably my biggest one.
I love that.
Yeah.
Who else?
Well, let's see. Right, it's kind of hard to choose one. So, well, I'll just go through first off, just going to Point Park, period. I mean, I went in as the jazziest jazz tap baby you could ever imagine. And that got scratched and scraped probably in the first month that I got there. Yeah, they were like, well, you are going to do ballet. And I'm like, I don't want to wear tights. And so Susan, Doug, Judith, Jody, Ron, bless his heart. I mean, everybody there really 100% changed my life. And I don't know what I would be now if I didn't have those teachers to mentor me, to Doug, torture me, and to really, you know, show me, hey, if you want this, you have to work. And then after that, really, really special lady, Julie Nakagawa Butcher.
Yes, Julie.
Julie Nakagawa, she at the time was the artistic director of the second company of Hubbard Street, and now she runs Dance Works in Chicago. This woman is not to be messed with. It's one of those, if you get a smile out of her, that means you are amazing. And that probably happens maybe once every 25 years. So, you know, just with all of the people that I mentioned together, were just people that tested me and wouldn't let up. And I think that's something that is great for all of us as artists, to be able to have those people that will mentor and try you. You might not like it very much, but in the long run, it's something that, you know, I still wish I had now. Especially during COVID. It's like, okay, well, I could either be watching Netflix or I could go for a run. Netflix.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
that, and after that, once you have those people, you know, pay it forward. You know, find someone to inspire yourself, because you'll learn so much more from them as well.
I love it. Skylar, Marissa, any one moment, people, anything?
Yeah. Well, I have two. One is definitely a Jason McDowell class. Like, I was already a disciplined dancer, but he kind of, being in that class, pushed me more to work harder than my hardest moments that I've ever worked, especially since he's so onto you, which I love him. And also, I don't know if you'll know these people, but Kalani Marks and Antoine Troop, they're commercial working people.
Great.
They run Creative Minds Dance Studio Company, and they kind of changed me in the way of my mindset and not just my dancing. They make you dig deeper to like what's happening inside and not caring so much about the little things. So I'm kind of more like a freer person.
I love that. Great. Skylar.
Mine would probably have to be Alex Yonk's class. When I first moved to Vegas, she is the woman that I took place in The Beatles Love. So she's kind of the girl that I had my eye on, like, since moving here, and I felt like there was always similarities, and I felt like I could just always take her class and like look up to her, and she always pushed me, and her classes are just amazing. She's so passionate about everything, so it's just amazing just to like stand there and just listen to her talk. So she's definitely somebody that I've looked up to since being here. And lo and behold, it literally ended up working out. So she moved to LA, and then there was a spot open, and they saw the similarities and everything. But yeah, she's definitely the person that I've been looking up to since being here. So
I love it. And then let's just kind of circle back really quick to college. How important was your 4-year degree? I mean, Rob, you mentioned that it shaped you and, it put you on that path. I think a lot of people, especially now during COVID, are probably questioning, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Should I get a 4-year degree? These kinds of things. And was it important for you? Did you guys feel like it was beneficial?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll say that, yeah, I look back on my 4 years at Point Park, and not only like, was it technique, like all the time, but it was like so monumental in developing my growth as a human and an artist. And not only from the staff, but like from the students there. And it like, which I know kind of like we can't socialize right now as much as we were in the past, but still like the different people you meet from all aspects of life. Cause I came from my little studio in San Antonio, Texas. And like, it was such a little bubble there. And then getting exposed to so many different, not only from the country, but like from international students as well. And that was huge. So I think, yeah, my 4 years at Point Park were huge. And I look back on them as they were tough in that they pushed me, but it pushed me to limits that I didn't even know I was capable of. Like we were talking about, like with y'all's classes, like, my God, the amount of sweat I would come out. Like, I'd be like, where did that come from? I do not remember drinking that much water today. So it was tough, but in the moment, but then looking back on it, I'm like, that was huge. And now I can keep just going further and further with it, because I know from those experiences at Point Park how much I can push myself in a healthy way, of course,
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to jump in? We have a couple more questions up here too now.
Yeah, Point Park, well, I kind of said it already, but Point Park really, I mean, super changed everything. And Nick mentioned something really important, was the people that we met while we were there. I mean, I still have lifelong friends to this day. And also those friends are doing amazing things, like one of my favorite, Pam Chu. She has gone from Brittany to everything. And yeah, I mean, she just does everything. And, just having that contact with people and keeping those relationships. I know it's hard for everyone now that you can't really be in contact with each other, but luckily we do have great technology like Zoom, so you can see each other. But also take the moment now, if you can't be in contact with each other, what else can you do within the college? What other classes can you take? Find your other interests that you like, because now being a more experienced dancer, I won't use the O word, now it's kind of like, okay, well, what do I want to evolve into next? And this is a really great opportunity to tease your mind into what else you're interested in while looking to fulfill your dreams as a performer.
I love that. And just the word connection. I mean, Rob, I think a lot of people either think that you and I danced together as colleagues in the studio, or that I taught you. But there was a moment of 5 years in which I was not on campus, or 4 years. And it was you and Pam Chu and Kiki, that era. I mean, I went home, I got married, I had 2 kids, and then I returned. And so, but it's that connection. I mean, you and I met each other. It was, you graduated from Point Park. Okay, great. I love you. That's it. We're done. We're in. And it's that unspoken kind of friendship and relationship and pathway and understanding, and you went through what I went through, and it's that whole kind of Point Park family thing. But I think that's important, are these connections that you make with other people, because they'll stay with you as well for forever. I mean, and some of my dearest friends are the people I graduated with, you know? Okay, can I jump to some of these questions? They're really interesting. So this is a good one. What are some tips for self-care for the commercial industry? So I think that the commercial industry might be known for being a little bit more aggressive. So maybe that's part of what that question is kind of stemming from.
Hey, I'll take a shot at it. It is kind of aggressive because you do get a lot of no's, which can be very hard. For me, I'm kind of used to it. So I take rejection easily, but sometimes it can get to you. So you have to take a step back and have to figure out things that make you happy. And that will kind of replace the, oh, no, 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 that you get so many times. So maybe it is a different connection with a different human that you actually talk to about it, or you just try to figure out things that could, I guess, make you improve yourself. Not in the sense like, okay, they said no, so clearly I did it wrong, because you could have been doing an amazing job and that's just not what they were looking for at the time.
That's so important. It's, you can go to, how many auditions do you go to in LA? Like a day? I'm making that up. Before COVID.
Maybe 2 or 3 a month.
A month. Okay, great. And so it's more rejection than it is, you know, getting the gig. But is it rejection? I mean, I guess that's part of the question too, right? I mean, you're just not right for the part. You're
Yes.
just not right. And that you kind of have to walk in and be, just do your best, right? And we talk about that a lot now, is a lot of audition technique. Marissa, you'll be thrilled to know that we've hired a full-time hip hop instructor. So Crystal Frazier's there, and it has changed everything. And I do feel like listening to students and what you guys need and where the industry's going is the one thing that Point Park does best. It continues to evolve and grow and change and shift because the industry is doing so. It's moving so quickly, so we have to move quickly too. But it's interesting because rejection, that word, there's a lot of self-care in the commercial industry because there's just more auditions and more rejection. And so I like what you said just about, you know, trying to find a balance of being okay with you. It's important to do that. Anybody else have anything before I go on to the next one?
Really fast. Outside life. Have an outside life.
That's right.
Have friends that aren't dancers. Have friends that aren't part of your craft. That's a huge part of self-care, because a lot of the time you can run and say, you know what, I didn't make this audition. Okay, well, guess what? I'm going to go ride my bike somewhere. Come on, let's go do that instead. You know, like, have a distraction instead of fully immersing yourself in auditions and concerts, and like have something else to do. And I think that's a big part of self-care.
Anybody else?
I just think we have to remember that it's not always 100% about talent. It's about typecasting and the way that you look, but you don't want to change the way you look. You want to be you, and the things that are for you will fall into your lap. Like, it's not, you shouldn't change yourself for a job. The job should fit you and mold to you instead of vice versa.
That's really important. I hear people say all the time, should I dye my hair before I go to this audition? Should I? I'm like, no, just do you. Just walk in and do you, and the job will line up when it's time for the job to line up. When it fits, it fits. You'll be happy too. That's the other thing. You don't want to force yourself into a circuit or a job or a gig or an environment in which you really don't fit mentally, spiritually, physically. Nick, anything before I move on to these next questions?
Yeah, I think it just circles back to just knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and owning both. Not seeing as your weaknesses as negatives, but just that they're another aspect of you and that they make you you. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for bringing that up again. Okay, so how did you maintain flexibility and strength during quarantine? And I think this next question can kind of go with this too. Do you still take technique classes as professional dancers? So, that's definitely kind of a two questions that can go into one. My dog is barking outside now, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, I've gotten really into yoga and have even started to like dive into getting my certification to teach because
Fun.
it's because yoga is an easy way, whereas like with dance, sometimes we feel really cramped within our rooms and within our homes that we can't like do a huge grand allegro across the floor. And so yoga, it's very, you're on the mat and that's it. Like you can't really do much else. So it's a great way to keep that flexibility, and it brings you like back to your breath, back to your center. And so it helps not only physically, but also a little bit mentally in these crazy times. And then as far as like what we talked about, or what Rob had brought up about taking as many free classes, there's a huge amount of a huge variety of classes out there now that are just more than your ballet tap, or not tap, but yeah, tap too, tap, jazz, whatever. Like there's so many different things that people are now, because we have to broadcast out of our homes, that are now being offered, that take advantage of it when you have the opportunity. I've been to LA like once in my life, but now I can take classes from teachers that I've admired for years because they're now offering these online. And so it's a kind of like, you get to pick and choose around the country you want to take from. So I'd say take advantage of this time.
Anybody else have advice for, you all take technique classes, right? Or workout or something to maintain your body, right? So that's a standard question. Is there anything that you would recommend? Or is it just a simple fact that everyone finds their thing? Like Nick, you're loving yoga right now.
Find what works for you.
Yeah.
Because we can give as many recommendations as possible, but it's only going to be you yourself that's going to want to have the true interest of what you want to do. So I think there's a lot of outlets that are out there for you. I know Hubbard Street has their 10 o'clock class, ballet class that's streaming every day. Sadly, on the West Coast, that means it's like 7:30 in the morning. That's not really going to happen for me. Love class, not that much. But then there's things like Peter Chu with Chew This. He has, I think, maybe every other month, a mindful meditation that you can join, and he has different doctors and Tai Chi movement that you can do in small spaces. So there's so many different outlets that you can take. It's just choose what you want for you.
Well, I think it also changes, right? In my 20s, I danced and danced and danced. In my 30s, I started running, and that really worked for me. If I were to run now, oh my. I told my sister I was walking around the school and exercising, and I started running, but I looked like an old lady, and I was like, yeah, like in slow motion. But in my head, it was definitely visualized as something much, much more impressive than that. But it changes. I feel like, Rob, I love the idea of meditation, right? And working with Peter Chu. And that might work for you once a month. But then, just trying some other things. And it's not something that you have to stick with all the time, but layering these ideas and concepts and really allowing yourself just a moment. But I do think that breathing is something that's missing, right? Just breath and getting in tune with your own body, I think is really, really important too. What else? Anything else along those lines of just kind of maintaining your physical body as a professional dancer? What about mind, spirit, all these things? How do you stay inspired if you're a professional dancer? What inspires you?
For me, it's literally anything and everything. It could be the way like the wind blows that I hear differently. It's like a different type of sound of music. It could be a song, like a rock song could literally inspire me just to get up and dance and find different types of movement throughout that. Could literally be the smell of someone cooking, everything.
I love that. That's beautiful. Anyone else? Okay, let's shift again. So let's shift again. Everyone's like, nah, we're good. We're good. So, I mean, we're kind of nearing towards the end. If anybody has any questions, if you're listening, please don't hesitate. These guys are very open. I'm sure nothing's off the table, but if you want to ask the question. I think walking away and regretting it will be the worst. I wish I would have asked that question. So please don't hesitate. They'll answer, of course. But so the world right now, I appreciate you and respect you all as humans. The world is kind of chaotic, and I think we're seeing a little beacon of light at the end of the tunnel here, hopefully, and moving on to a new day. What are you wishing for? I mean, we had a moment to pause and think about the industry to enhance ourselves, and it was fine just to pause and not do anything. I hear a lot of people say, oh, I should have written that book during COVID. Really? You were going to write a book? I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself in such, uncertain, unstable times. And if I hear those two words one more time, I'm going to rip my own hair out. But, looking ahead, what are you hopeful for? What do you want to see? Yes.
I hope that people realize how bored they were during quarantine, and so I hope that just shows and entertainment in general, I hope it booms even more from where it was before. I just hope that people appreciate it more, as spectators.
I love that.
Something like that. But
I agree. I think it's going to shift a little bit, but I do think there's going to be a surge in just really appreciation for things that we forgot about, or take for granted, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of along the lines of what Skylar was saying, I hope the world, now that they've had see us more than just kind of decoration, that we're artists and we do all these things and we're pretty, and they see that it's really important to have those things in life, no matter what you do in life, but you have to have some type of art or creativity, or whether you're observing it or whether you're doing it yourself. And so I hope that people who have been like, oh, well, I've gotten into taking a free dance class and they've never danced in their life, but they have all the time with quarantine to do it, that they see that oh, this is not as easy as it looks, or I just kind of hope they appreciate how hard we have all worked, and how it's time that we've been taken seriously, but there's always a little bit of pushback from as far as funding and stuff like that. And so I hope this is a kind of a wake up call to everyone that, hey, we're just as important because we give something as well,
Right.
Me personally, I hope that everyone's grown, just grown, period. Grown appreciation, have grown interest, have grown love for others and themselves. And it's really interesting because I decided to go back and read The Great Gatsby again. And I'm kind of relating this time to back then. And hopefully, hoping that the big boom of entertainment and wanting to be creative, and almost a new type of revolution for not only the arts, but just for everyone in general, to really kind of open their eyes to the arts, to each other, to opportunity, to creation. I think that would be the biggest hope. I mean, it's going to be a long road to get to that hope, but like we've been told in performances, if we could change one person, that's enough. So hopefully we can use that to change many people.
It's one at a time, one at a time. Really. Really. Marissa, anything?
Yes, for me also, along with what everyone said, appreciation, and I guess to see what other hobbies people have like found within themselves. Because I've seen a lot of my friends do things that I've never thought they were interested in, and they're booming with it.
Yeah, I love that. I can't wait to see what people come up with. I think the industry is going to change a little bit. I think it's going to look different, which is exciting to me. I mean, even at Point Park, who would have thought we'd be doing dance on film? And we're doing these virtual performances now, and it forced people to shift mindsets and approaches. And we're working collectively with the Playhouse, the entire team, a film department, and it's been really fun. I mean, it's just fun. And so that's kind of more along the lines of catching up. So I'm looking forward to seeing what is new, the new kind of medium that really surfaces from all of this. I think it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. So as we start to kind of, we're getting closer. Let me check this time one more time. Oh no, we do have a little bit of time. This is good. Okay, so who wants to leave some of our students with advice? If you could leave them with some advice, what do you really want to kind of tell them? I mean, you guys agreed to come on this webinar. You want to talk to our young artists and maybe, current people who need reminded, right? Maybe some alumni are listening in. What are some thoughts that you have, some kind of inspirational, wish you would have known then, or advice? Yeah, Nick.
I'd say the biggest thing looking back, especially in regards to Point Park in my 4 years there, is that to soak up every moment, because they say, and like when I was there, they say, oh, it goes by fast. And I'm like, yeah. Like I got 2 more months in the semester and this feels really slow. And so, but now looking back, like it, blink of an eye. But to really enjoy and be present in every moment, and that's much easier said than done. That's a big practice, but to really soak up every opportunity, there is much more there than we think that there is, as far as like what we kind of talked about with like taking different classes from different professors that you never would see yourself being, because you could end up, that could be your favorite class. And so just kind of back to kind of what I've been saying, just being a chameleon and soaking up every opportunity you can, because it's gone before you know it, and then you ain't gonna get it back. So really, really enjoy every moment, because it'll stay with you for the rest of your life.
I love that. Well, and it's, as a middle-aged woman that doesn't hide that at all, my advice to all of you is to make sure that you revel in every moment and live each day fully, right? That word time, just appreciate time and live in the moment. I think it's important in dance, and I think it's important in life. It's really, really, it's precious when you can just sit and watch. And, Marissa, you said you find inspiration in sometimes the wind or whatever it is. And I just think that's beautiful, to be present and enjoy that. Anybody else? Who else? I know, Rob, you have something to say.
I'm trying not to talk too much.
No, I love it. Go.
I would definitely say just keep yourself open to absolutely everything. I mean, just from my process or my experience there, I never thought I was going to be in a ballet company or a contemporary company or in Cirque du Soleil. I had my eye on one thing, and I was like, Broadway all the way. And I never even got there. So, I went everywhere else except for there. So you just never know what's going to happen in your future, what's going to change your mind, or what your interests are going to change into, because there's so much opportunity there. And if you don't allow yourself to be engulfed in that opportunity, like Nick said, you're going to miss out, you know, whether you like it or whether you don't. Believe me, there were many classes I did not like when I was in Point Park, but now thinking back, they were some of the most monumental little details that I can go back when, let's say I'm in the middle of my character and I want to do something different, but I have to still stay in the structure of the character. Like, wow, well, Ron Hudson's thing where he would go like that. Oh, okay, I could add that in there. But then, you know, then I could push back a little bit, you know, like you can take little things from everything and make them into you. So I think that's really important, to never turn your nose up at anything and experience everything possible. That's it.
Skylar, Marissa, anything?
I guess no matter your pathway or the journey you choose, just know that the timing is going to be different from every other person. So just enjoy what you have going.
Oh, that's beautiful. Skylar.
Yeah, just bouncing off of that. Don't compare yourself to others. There's no reason. And then just another like big thing, just be kind. That's it. Just be a good person.
You'll live a much happier life if you're kind. I feel like negativity, if it surrounds you, it just is, it becomes heavy, and kindness is just lighter. It's kind of a simple idea, but sometimes we get caught up in the darkness. All right. So what am I not thinking of? If there was one question you really wanted me to ask today and I didn't ask it, I do have one before we get to this one. I want to talk West Coast versus East Coast. So Nick, where are you now?
I'm in Texas. I'm back in San Antonio.
In San Antonio. I'll be visiting because Kelly Hodges is down there.
Yeah.
I'll be visiting, don't worry. So, okay, West Coast, East Coast. So how do you feel about, you know, Vegas and LA? And I think a lot of people on the East Coast, especially if you're going to school, think it's scary, right? I mean, it's like this big scary place that you can't just get to. What is the West Coast? Is it big and scary, like people say?
No.
It's dry and warm. Oh, at least in Vegas, it's dry. It's a big step. I mean, especially when you're younger, and you have to be ready for it. I mean, that's all part of it, because you can move out here and just sit there and be scared the whole time, and that's not going to do anything for you. You know, if you're going to make a move, maybe do it in stages. Like I was in the East Coast, you know, I was in Montreal and Philly and all that end in Point Park, of course. Then Chicago. So kind of inched over a little bit to a bigger city. And then, you know, and then ended like move the way that your body and your mind will make you feel comfortable, and the way that you can keep your confidence in your spirit. Don't do anything without feeling good about yourself, because it's not gonna, you know, if you don't feel good about it, then it's not gonna go anywhere. But I would say east to west. I mean, it's whatever type of work you want to do. They're definitely a bit different.
Well, and you can find happiness anywhere. I mean, I know a lot of people that are dancing in these small towns, in these small cities, in a great contemporary dance company, and always say, I never thought I would be here, but I'm really happy. And so I think it's, you know, where the job takes you, and exactly what you said, Rob, where your heart takes you, just follow your spirit and you'll end up where you're supposed to be. Skylar,
Yeah,
you can jump in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If I can, yeah.
Yeah, please.
just do your research, and like if you do know like a soul wherever you're going, like reach out to them, get as much info as you can. Like we're here for you guys. Like after this conversation, like reach out to us if you need to ask anything, and we'll like gladly help. I've met nothing but warm people over here on the West Coast, so it's just really about kind of jumping, but also knowing what you're jumping into. So it's like just a good balance of like going for it, but having some knowledge of like what you're doing in the first place too. So.
Yeah, research is really important. You don't want to go to a city you've never been to, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nick, go for it.
Yeah, I think speaking for like the East Coast a little bit, I kind of did like little trial runs during my summers when I was at Point Park. And so I'd go take intensives there and kind of do like the intensive, but also try to like really submerge myself in the city and make sure that like, this is where I want to be. And I moved to New York straight after graduation, like a month after we were done, and totally alone. There was like, all my friends went on cruise ships or they went to the West Coast and I was the only one there. But like, New Yorkers are almost seen as very cold people, or like they're like, oh, New Yorkers are so rude. But really, when you get down to it, like there's such a sense of community there within, whether it's your community of dancers or like when you get a side job there, you create your own little bubble of people. So like, sure, moving by yourself somewhere can be really scary, but before you know it, if you just start exposing yourself to different, like, whether it's through a job or through like a group of people, you'll start to build your own community within no time.
That's great.
And to add to that really quick, what we're doing here, Skylar even said it again, make use of your teachers, your alumni groups, you know, because there's always someone from Point Park somewhere.
So true.
And for real.
For
like,
real.
Yeah, like I remember being on tour and I was in Morocco at the airport, and Morocco. Who would think that you're going to run into a Point Park person at the airport in Morocco? Right. Really? So you know, you just never know. Use your resources. There's so many resources out there for you.
Marissa, anything?
Jumping back to what I was saying, moving to LA with nobody, I feel
Right.
like my determination to achieving what I want in my goals was more important than my mentality of, okay, if I don't get it, then I'm moving back because I don't know anybody.
Yeah, you were determined. You knew exactly what you were doing, and I loved every minute of it. Okay, so our last question for me is there anything that you wish I would have asked, or something you want to talk about that we haven't brought up, that you want to leave the students with? Anything that we haven't kind of covered that you think is important or valuable? Could be anything. We talked a lot about being a human versus being a dancer versus being an artist. I'm stumping you today, Mr. Rob Knowles.
I know. I'm usually like the yeah. No.
Just trying to be a little deeper than, you know, train with this and audition for this, and this is the agency you should go to. We have those conversations, but I feel like a lot of times what gets lost in translation is just the humanity behind these things. You know, yeah, go audition for MSA and all these things, but if you're not healthy, mind, body, spirit, you're not going to be happy. The gig doesn't make you happy. Sure, it's instant gratification, and you have this moment of, aha, I got it. But then when you're doing a show, 8 shows a week, you know, for 3 years in a row, you have to be happy as a human being. The show no longer is going to make you happy. It becomes a job, you know? So is there anything else that you know, you want to share before I let you go? I know. Go, Nick, go.
I think just kind of a little bit of going off of what you were just saying, taking care of your mental health is so key in this business, and that takes precedence over everything. And I feel like the industry's changing a bit as far as like seeing dancers as more than just robots on a stage that like you can do whatever you want with them. And so I think that's getting better as an industry as far as seeing us as people. But at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself, because no one else is going to do it. They're going to always it's going to come to budget, or it's going to come to what can be done fastest with the smallest amount of money. But if that's not serving you and your own well-being, then it's not worth it. Another gig will come along that is doing something that serves you better. And so I think looking out for yourself is key in the business, because you can have an agent, but like we're all in it, not in it for ourselves. That sounds rude, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I mean, it is a bit selfish because it fills your soul, right? It is fulfilling. And as an artist, you want to be fulfilled. So I understand that, but it's not a negative thing. It's not a negative thing, because ultimately you are there to provide entertainment and provoke thought and spirit and all those things from your audiences, to engage people to think and believe in something, and all of it. It's important. We have a huge responsibility as artists, huge, but we got to take care of ourselves to be able to do these things, right? To be able to provide.
I would say keep yourself aware, very aware. Do your research, find out what's going on. Always try and keep yourself in the know, so that way, there's no surprises. Of course, there's always going to be surprises, but, read, see what's going on in the industry in your area, or the area that you want to be in. Make sure to talk to people, and just keep yourself mentally safe. Like you want to make sure that you're good, because if you're not going to be good, then you're not going to be good for anybody anyway. So I would just say definitely just stay aware.
I love that. That leaves us with Jason McDowell. Pay attention. It's kind of perfect, right? Skylar, Marissa, anything in closing?
Going off of that, I would say protect your energy. Of course, you can be able to share with everybody, but not everyone is genuine. And that's kind of hard part, is like figuring out who's not genuine. Mm-hmm. So just be careful.
Skylar, anything?
Going back to the staying open and just opening yourself up to opportunities that you probably will feel super uncomfortable doing, but you have to do them in order to feel comfortable. You just have to kind of, I don't know. I'm not very good at advice. I'm taking it from all of you guys.
I think we're all taking it from each other too. So.
Definitely.
But I think it serves us all to have these conversations. And so I'm inspired, and I can bring this information back to the classroom, and even for myself and to my own children. But these conversations are important. And I think it's as important as taking class. It's all part of it. It's all just about learning and growing and being open, like you said, Well, I can't thank you enough for you to come back and share and talk and give. Thank you for giving so much of your time. And we're just so proud of you. This, and I cannot wait to come out that way. And Nick, I'll see you when I come visit Kelly. But again, Kelly Hodges is a graduate from Point Park. Of course, it's all about the circle of that we've made and these connections and these friends. But as soon as I get out to the West Coast, when this thing is over, I'll come see everybody and we'll reconnect, and I'll come see the shows, and we'll be back and running, and it'll be awesome. Yay. But thank you on behalf of Point Park University. Thank you everybody for coming today, and take care of yourselves and enjoy, and we'll leave you with be present, right? And live your happiness. Just be the best version of you that you can be. So thank you, everybody. All right. And take care of yourselves. We're proud of you. Much
Thank
love.
you.
We love you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.